Beverly Hills doesn't just sell luxury, it sells invincibility. $60,000 watches behind glass, diamond bracelets under soft lights, security guards dressed like concierge. The whole setup whispers, untouchable, until it's not. Because one afternoon that illusion cracked literally, and standing in the shards. A crew tied to the Baby Insane Crips. They didn't creep in, they came loud, smash and grab style, in and out in under 2 minutes. And when it was over, $2.6 million in luxury goods was gone. Rolexes, diamonds, gone, just like that. Now pause. We're not talking about some cartel from overseas, not ex-special forces, not hackers in Russia. These were young guys from Long Beach, a set known more for street rep than surgical hits. But this was precise, coordinated, professional, and the response. Immediate. Beverly Hills PD called it a high-level threat. LAPD brought in gang intel, ATF got involved, and when the feds showed up, the tone shifted from robbery to conspiracy. But here's the real story. This wasn't just a theft, it was a collision between two economies that are never supposed to meet. Street hustle and generational wealth. Gangs from neighborhoods with boarded-up schools taking millions from zip codes where the sidewalk sparkles. So in this breakdown, we're not just chasing the crew, we're unpacking the whole ecosystem, who the Baby Insane Crips really are, how this hit went down while law enforcement responded like it was a national security threat, and what it says about crime, money, and who gets to survive in America. Everything you're about to hear comes from case files, expert analysis, and patterns we've seen before. No hype, no cap, just how it really went down, because behind every million-dollar heist is a system that made it make sense. It started like any normal afternoon in Beverly Hills. Shoppers walking slow, clerks adjusting watches in display cases, security barely looking up, then the glass shattered. Surveillance footage shows it fast, too fast. For masked men rush the storefront, one has a sledgehammer, another holds a black bag, two others handle crowd control, no guns visible, but their presence is enough. This isn't random, it's a routine. They go straight for the Rolex shelf. Smash, scoop, move, no words, no hesitation. One by one, glass cases explode, alarms scream, and in just under 90 seconds they're gone. Out the front door into a dark blue Dodge Charger parked 2 blocks down, engine running. Police say the total loss was $2.6 million in luxury watches, jewelry, and limited edition pieces that were never recovered. Most of it insured, none of it forgotten. But here's where it shifts from robbery to operation. That Charger. Stolen the night before in Compton, plates swapped, VIN filed down, burned out hours later near Signal Hill. Inside it, cops found a single fingerprint matched to a known Baby Insane Crips affiliate. Cell tower data showed burner phones moving from Long Beach to Beverly Hills that morning. Cameras caught glimpses of a scout walking past the store 20 minutes before impact. Shoes matched later during a raid. No suspects were caught on scene, but the crew left a trail. Not carelessness, just entropy, because the more moving parts, the more likely something slips. Over the next 2 weeks, LAPD's Gang Enforcement Division started knocking on doors. They knew the pattern. This wasn't the first crew to treat luxury stores like ATMs, but the Baby Insane Crips. They hadn't been this bold in years. And that made them dangerous, because when a street set starts hitting multi-million-dollar targets, the streets stop being the only battlefield. The Baby Insane Crips didn't come out of nowhere. They're not new. They're not confused. They're a set one branch on a sprawling tree called the Crips. Let's get this straight. The Crips aren't one gang. They're a decentralized network of sets, each with its own territory, leadership, politics, and priorities. Some sets beef with each other, others collaborate, but they all trace their roots back to the late 60s, born in South Central LA, raised in conflict, hardened by policy. Now zoom in. The Baby Insane Crips operate primarily out of Long Beach. They're an offshoot of the Insane Crips, one of the most entrenched sets in the area. Back in the 90s, the Baby Insanes were known for reckless violence, drive-bys, drug corners, turf wars with the rolling 20 seconds. But that was then. This crew. They evolved, less about blocks, more about bankrolls. See, over the last decade, something shifted. Street cred still matters, but so does strategy. Flashy hits, coordinated thefts, identity fraud, ed scams. Organized crews started running operations that looked a lot more like business models than turf wars. The $2.6 million Beverly Hills hit, that wasn't some rogue squad, it was an execution of roles. You had torpedoes, the crashers, the ones doing the dirty work. You had scouts, wheelmen, the stash handlers, the fences waiting to liquidate goods on the black market, and above all that, the shot callers, not the guys with tattoos on Instagram, the ones who never touch a weapon but always get a cut. Gang intel had been watching the Baby Insanes for a minute, but nothing gets priority until it crosses a certain line, and when they left Long Beach and hit Beverly Hills, that was the line. The city wasn't just dealing with a robbery, it was dealing with a set that had studied the system, cast its weaknesses, and found a way to turn reputation into revenue. And when street gangs start thinking like corporations, the cops stop thinking local, they go federal. Once the number hit 7 figures, everything changed. Beverly Hills PD could handle car break-ins, even armed robbery, but $2.6 million stolen in broad daylight? from a luxury strip 1 block from Rodeo Drive. That wasn't just a crime, it was a political emergency. LAPD's gang unit was pulled in within hours, but it didn't stop there. By the end of the week, ATF agents were involved. The FBI sent over analysts. Why? Because law enforcement doesn't care how flashy the crime looks, they care how organized it is. And this one? Screamed enterprise. That's when the politicians came. The Beverly Hills mayor stood on the steps of City Hall and called it an attack on the very fabric of our community. The California Attorney General used the moment to pitch a new gang suppression initiative. Governors, council members, and state senators all echoed the same line. Law and order must be restored. Translation. Budget increases, new gang databases, expanded surveillance contracts with tech firms, a flood of public money aimed not at prevention but at crackdown. On the right, pundits seized the moment. This is what you get with soft on crime policies. On the left, the message was more nuanced but no less performative. We must address root causes, said the same lawmakers who just approved gang enhancement sentencing laws. No one asked why Beverly Hills gets the task force while South Central gets the chalk outlines. No one asked why the same feds who ignored housing inequality suddenly care when a Rolex gets stolen. Behind closed doors, RICO charges were floated. Prosecutors wanted leverage. Turn one crew member, unravel the set. Gang conspiracy laws made that easy, no need to prove who smashed the glass, just prove affiliation and intent. By month's end, the Baby Insane Crips weren't just a set, they were a case, a symbol, a problem to be solved. With maximum force, and every law passed in their name, you better believe it's gonna outlast them. Let's talk economics. Because yeah, this was a robbery, but it was also a business move. In Long Beach, the average income in Baby Insane territory barely cracks 30 grand. Meanwhile, the stores they hit, they move more than that in a single sale. That kind of contrast doesn't just breed resentment, it breeds strategy. Think about it. You're 19, no degree, no job prospects, and someone offers you $2,000 to hit a boutique in Beverly Hills with a crew that's done it before. You're in and out in 2 minutes. Someone else sells the goods. You never touch the money trail, and if you don't get caught, you just made more than your mom clears in a month. That's not gang life. That's math. See, when we talk about crime, we pretend it's irrational, emotional, but this was rational, efficient. Watch inventory was mapped. Security shift changes tracked. One crew member knew exactly how long the cops took to respond on a weekday afternoon. The goods. Liquid gold, Rolexes, APs, diamond chains, small, untraceable, and easy defense. Some went local, some crossed state lines. Others were flipped through gray market jewelers who knew better but didn't care. The crew got their cut, the fence got theirs. Everyone ate except the people who've been trying to eat legal and can't afford groceries in the same zip code. And here's the thing, the people locked up for this. Most of them weren't masterminds. They were foot soldiers, disposable, the guys in the video, the ones who ran. Meanwhile, the planners, the ones who handled the buyers, coordinated the fence lines. They're harder to find because they're not on Instagram. They don't post stacks. They move in silence. But the consequences, they don't discriminate. Now the neighborhood's even more surveilled. Cops are posted up on corners again. Kids are back to getting stopped for sagging. And all the while, those luxury stores, they've upped security and kept selling business as usual. Because in America, the real crime isn't what gets stolen. It's what gets normalized. Once the story hit mainstream news, it stopped being about watches and started being about narratives. Conservative outlets led with fear. Gangs terrorized Beverly Hills. Fox ran loops of shattered glass, masked men, and sirens. They called it a sign that California was falling apart. Proof that liberal policies had gone soft on crime. Democrats played both sides. In public, they condemned the violence. Behind the scenes, they signed off on increased budgets for gang task forces, license plate tracking systems, and predictive policing software. They framed it as public safety, not punishment. But the result was the same. More boots, more badges, more surveillance. No one asked what it would take to prevent the next kid from joining the next crew, because fear works better than nuance, and $1 million robbery in a rich zip code? That's political gold. Lawmakers posted side-by-side mugshots and Rolex photos on social media. Fundraising emails followed. Stand up to crime. Protect our neighborhoods. You know the drill. Meanwhile, the community where these young men came from got nothing. No mental health resources, no job programs, no investment in the schools that let them fall through in the first place. They were made into examples, political pawns, a problem that justifies more control, not people who got caught up in a system designed to fail them, and the people who benefited. They're not in mugshots, they're in office, they're in boardrooms, they're in the companies building the tech to track the next crew before it even acts. Because crime in rich places isn't just punished harder, it's exploited better. So here we are. A high-end heist, $2.6 million gone, and a crew from Long Beach branded forever as the face of gang crime in Beverly Hills. But if you've been paying attention, you know this story's bigger than a robbery. It's about contrast, systems. What happens when generations of disinvestment meet a city soaked in wealth? The Baby Insane. Crips didn't stumble into that store by accident. They saw a gap between the life they lived and the one they were never meant to touch, and they took a shot that doesn't make it right, but it makes make sense. And for all the noise from politicians, the increased funding, the task forces, the media coverage, ask yourself, what actually changed? Did Beverly Hills stop selling watches? Did Long Beach get safer? Did any of the kids still stuck in that cycle get options? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. We don't solve crime, we monetize it, we criminalize poverty, glamorize punishment, and turn every high-profile case into a reason to build bigger cages. The names in this case, already fading, but the structures that created them, still here, still humming. So next time you hear about a gang robbery in a rich neighborhood, don't just ask what they stole, ask what they were never given, ask what made that hit seem like the best option. Because in this country, the real luxury isn't jewelry, it's opportunity.